Today's topic, spiritual psychosis and mental illness. These topics have been rolling around inside of me for a while now. There's been a number of commenters that have asked me to speak on spiritual psychosis. So I'd never want to come on here and publicly say anything that I couldn't transmit clearly and clearly without any kind of othering, judgment, duality, polarity. And so I've just been kind of sitting on it. And I'm like, well, if I'm meant to talk about it, the clarity will come. And if I'm not, I'm fine with that too. And completely unbeknownst to me, the clarity came in today. So I'm jumping on this. First, I need to say, and I hope you'll understand, I am not a medical professional in any way, shape, or form. What I'm going to share in this video is my own awareness and wisdom through my own ascension journey and my ability to unpack information that is energetic. If you have anything going on that you feel uncomfortable with, be it physical ascension symptoms or mental health symptoms, please seek support in whatever way you feel resonates with you and your lifestyle and your decision making at that time. Okay, so spiritual psychosis and mental illness are both pretty much the same thing. They're just presented differently. And I'm going to unpack them and give you some examples. When you whittle everything down to its core, what both are is an absence of truth. So on one hand, mental illness can be perceived as what is your tolerance for living in a lie? And then you reach the parameters of that and then fall into a mental ill space where the parameters of the lie that you were living and living in, which could be perceived as the entire 3D construct, has its limit within you and your ability and your soul signature's ability to be able to tolerate the lack of divine truth. Spiritual psychosis can happen when the truth starts to come in, awakening, and bumps into and gets all mixed up with the lie, or too much truth comes in all at once, like a Kundalini awakening that happens too fast, where it just is too much truth and the psyche breaks. So there are a myriad of ways that this can be expressed. Excuse me. You could say that everything is spiritual psychosis. Living in a 3D reality and pretending that you're a human is a psychosis. But again, it's your ability to tolerate being within the lie. There are many people, and we see it in today's society, that are still in a position where they're very comfortable living within the lie. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's part of the experience we came here to have. At a soul level, you also came in here with a certain tolerance for the ability to be in the lie or not in the lie or in the absence of truth that then manifested itself once you got here as mental illness, which was also a part of your divine plan because there's so much to be learned by that. People that have mental illness, and I don't know a lot about all of them, often come in with a mental illness that makes them impermeable to the lie. But in the 3D construct, there needs to be a label. There needs to be something that allows the perception of reality to have context with the way that the person presents themselves. So it has been said, again, I don't have professional or personal experience with this, that people that have schizophrenia are actually just, their psyche is cracked open just enough that they are actually, excuse me, experiencing their alter fragmented expressions. And there seems to be an inability to correlate within that construct of who's who and what's what. And then the more in depth into the lie that they live in, their filter gets dirty. And then even the expressions of these other alters don't even come through in their truth either. So that's just one example. Depression is another one. Depression is literally not being able to play the character anymore. And that is the character of the ego. So much of depression is experienced through the spiritual journey and through the awakening journey. And then unknowingly through the unawakened who struggle with depression because they don't understand what it is that's causing it. And really it just is that they have immersed themselves too deeply into the lie, the lack of truth, for too long. We call this in the spiritual community, when a spiritually awakened person goes through depression, we call that the dark night of the soul, which is really just a whole bunch of lie has come to the surface for release. Anxiety is a nervous system dysregulation issue. It comes and goes and plays out in so many different ways. Spectrum disorders, OCD, ADD, ADHD, autism, it is all how the person is wired to receive and exchange various forms of energy. So there are so many, and ones that I don't know a lot about, and you're getting the gist through this video of what I'm saying, that mental illness comes from a lack of truth. And then you go through your spiritual awakening where the truth and the lie are dancing with each other and they're both loud. And then you come out the other side, whatever that other side is for you, where now we are embodying more truth, understanding more truth, and calling in more truth, and like being in truth more, and separating ourselves further and further and further away from the lie. When you go through your spiritual awakening, I have mentioned before, spiritual psychosis can happen when a Kundalini awakening happens too quickly. That happens to some people, and at a soul level, it's also for the experience of it. The third eye that opens, or perception that opens, some kind of clairvoyance when you first come into your spiritual awakening, you can be seeing truth through the filter that is the lie, and then perceive that you have demons and boogeymans and all kinds of things in your house. I went through that. There are all different myriads of expressions where during the spiritual awakening journey that the lie and the truth are both happening at the same time. And it's very difficult for the person experiencing it to discern how much is true, how much is the filter, how much is the lie, and like separate it and figure it all out. And then we call that spiritual psychosis. At the end of the day, we could all say we have all been in some form of spiritual psychosis just because we came here to be humans in the 3D matrix experience. And then in the 4D space, which is actually your training space, where you heal and you awaken and you start to release the lie and integrate truth, you begin to embody the truth, understand the truth, and move further and further and further away from the lie. That is also where you can have many forms of mental illness, many forms of spiritual psychosis, and however it is that it's going to play out for you. That happens in the 4th dimensional space. Then once you are in the higher 4s and into the 5th dimensional field, then you are an emanation of truth. You are truth, you believe truth, you are in truth. There is no more lie. You also need to understand that the lie is really just an absence of truth, just the same way as darkness is an absence of light. There is nothing wrong with it. It's just the way that the human psyche, the human filter, the operating system, the mainframe that is the human vessel, translates the darkness, which is an absence of truth, and pure divine truth. And then it can just get all confusing. So I hope that that helps in the most neutral, receivable, digestible way possible. Meet me in the comments if you have any questions. Until next time.